English service of Radio Algeria International. It's time for the news.
The President of the Republic has affirmed at the opening of the 54th edition of the International Fair of Algiers the state's determination to support investors in expanding their projects. The Minister of Foreign Affairs has strongly denied the totally ungrounded information relayed according to which it ordered the UAE ambassador to leave the Algerian territory. And in Sudan, the army and the rapid paramilitary support forces resumed fighting shortly after the expiry of the 72-hour ceasefire. Those were the headlines, and now the news in detail from Radio Algeria International. First, the President of the Republic, Abdelmadjid Tebboune, affirmed on Tuesday at the opening of the 54th edition of the International Fair of Algiers, FIA, the determination of the state to continue its support to investors in launching or expanding their projects in various sectors and to increase the rate of national integration, saying that the country's future lies with startups and young investors. During his visit to the various stands at the FIA and his discussions with economic operators and heads of public and private companies, President Tebboune reiterated the commitment of the public authorities to grant every facility to project promoters, particularly in the mechanical engineering, manufacturing and agriculture, and called for an increase in the rate of national integration insofar as the capacities of the national industrial fabric allow. Said Bouazi has more details.
The President of the Republic lingered for a long time in the pavilion of the VMS Industry, a private company based in the province of Bijaya and specializing in the manufacture of cycles, motorbikes and tricycles, where he called on the company's managers to expand their business and diversify their products, underlining the importance of the industrial sector in which it operates. In the same context, President Tebboune called for the need to launch the production of light vehicles to be used as workshops for repairing mechanical breakdowns to attract young investors. The military industry also took up a large part of the pavilions at the 6-day fair, where companies and firms working for the Ministry of National Defense are exhibiting a range of equipment and vehicles manufactured locally with a high rate of integration, according to explanations given at the event. The President of the Republic hailed the progress made by Algeria in the military industry, calling for the promotion of public-private partnerships and to increase the rate of national industrial integration, particularly in the mechanical engineering, armored vehicles, engine control systems and weapons. In the same pavilion, the President of the Republic visited the Algeria Tech Space, which brings together 30 startups as well as organizations supporting this type of innovative startups. During the fair, conferences and an engineering and innovation competition are slated to encourage young people, especially students, to turn their projects into reality. In this connection, President Tebboune stressed the need to conclude partnerships between Algerian startups and their African counterparts with a view to exporting innovative products and services to African markets. At the stands devoted to startups, President Tebboune took an interest in a company that had developed a robot capable of accessing places that are very difficult to access or inaccessible to firefighters during fires. The President of the Republic undertook to facilitate the granting of patents for this invention with a view to marketing it in Algeria. The President of the Republic, who was visiting the stand of the Algerian Investment Promotion Agency, API, welcomed the significant improvement of the business climate in Algeria thanks to the new legal framework governing investment. At the pavilion dedicated to Italy, guest of honor at this year's FIA, President Tebboune affirmed that Algeria was in favor of establishing a strategic partnership with this country and the strengthening of bilateral cooperation in various fields and sectors. President Tebboune also inquired about the sugar production project in the south of Algeria, with the transformation of sugar beets presented by the President of the Algerian Economic Renewal Council, CREA, Kamel Moula.
And Prime Minister Ayman bin Abdurrahman has received at the Government Palace the Italian Minister of Business and Made in Italy, Adolfo Urso, who was visiting Algeria as part of his country's participation as guest of honor at the 54th International Fair of Algiers. The meeting was an opportunity to review the progress made in favor of strengthening cooperation and partnership between the two countries and to continue implementing the directives of the leaders. The two parties have welcomed the qualitative Italian participation at the Algiers International Fair. And the Minister of Foreign Affairs and the National Community Abroad, Ahmed Attaf, was received by the President of the Chamber of Deputies of the Italian Parliament, Lorenzo Fontana, as part of his working visit to Italy. On this occasion, the two officials reviewed the development in the Algerian-Italian relations in various fields, welcoming the achievements made to strengthen the strategic partnership and to consolidate the strong political will of the two parties to achieve promising future prospects. They also tackled coordination between the two states for the promotion of security and stability in the Mediterranean region and the objectives of development and prosperity in this space and the world. The two officials have also agreed to maintain the current pace of communication, coordination, and cooperation between Algiers and Rome at all levels in order to achieve the ambitious strategic objectives set by the leaders of the two countries. The spokesman for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the National Community Abroad has issued a blanket denial in a press release. The totally unfounded information relayed on social networks and by certain media, according to which the ministry had ordered the Emirati ambassador to leave Algerian territory, and reaffirms that this information is false and ungrounded, and that the ministry's press releases are the only source of information. According to the press release, the ministry spokesman underlined the solidity of the privileged Algerian-Emirati relations established between the two countries and peoples, highlighting the common concern to raise them to the highest level in accordance with the wishes of the leaders of the two countries, the President of the Republic, Abdelmadjid Tebboune, and his brother, the President of the United Arab Emirates, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan. The President of the Republic, Abdelmadjid Tebboune, has dismissed the Minister of Communication, Mohamed Bouslimani, according to a press release issued by the Presidency of the Republic. After consulting the Prime Minister, the President of the Republic, Abdelmadjid Tebboune, has terminated the duties of the Minister of Communication, Mohamed Bouslimani, and has instructed the Secretary General of the Ministry to act in his place as interim. Two deputies of the National People's Assembly are taking part in their capacity as members of the African Parliamentary Union in the proceedings of the 79th session of the Executive Committee of this parliamentary institution held in the Togolese capital, Lomé, on the 21st and 22nd of the current month, according to a press release from the lower house of parliament. The Finance Minister, Aziz Fayed, and a delegation accompanying him have taken part at the OPEC Fund for International Development Forum in Vienna. Miriam Zian has more details.
The Minister of Finance is taking part of the ministerial meeting devoted to the examining and approval of the OFID's activity reports, as well as the adoption of its annual financial statements. The second edition of this forum aims at exploring innovative approaches to address the scarcity of development growth and the need to mobilize financial support for sustainable projects. The OPEC Fund for International Development Forum also aims at identifying new paths of sustainable development with a focus on transformative development models, regional collaboration, and inclusiveness. Other issues on the agenda include sustainable food systems, innovative climate solutions and partnerships, as well as policies that prioritize people and our planet. The managing director of the OPEC Fund confirmed that the participants in the forum will be able to unlock models of collaboration and generate positive results for the future. As a reminder, OFID is a multilateral development financing institution with 12 members, including Algeria. The fund is also the only globally mandated development institution that provides funding from member countries to non-member countries in order to stimulate growth and social progress in low and middle-income countries.
Algeria organized on Tuesday an event on Algeria's achievements in the field of children's rights as part of its membership in the UN Human Rights Council during its 53rd session held from June 19 to July 14, 2023 in Geneva, Switzerland. During the event, the National Commissioner for the Protection of Children's Rights, Ms. Mariam Shorfi, made a presentation on the Algerian experience in the field in the presence of several ambassadors and representatives of some of the 25 countries and member states of the UN Human Rights Council, such as Tunisia, Libya, Saudi Arabia, Syria, Qatar, Mauritania, Lebanon, Iran, France, the USA, China, and the EU. Ms. Shorfi underlined that the organization of this event comes as a confirmation of the Algerian state's strong political will to strengthen human rights in general and children's rights in particular, and enshrine the role of law in its national policies as well as its international relations, which constitute the main axes of the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmadjid Tebboun's program aimed at building the new Algeria. Meanwhile, all the participants hailed the gains and achievements made by Algeria in the field of protecting and promoting children's rights and deemed it a pioneering experience to be followed. To the Western Sahara issue now, the Geneva Support Group for Western Sahara has expressed its concern at the systematic and serious human rights violations in Western Sahara, denouncing the persistent silence of international bodies before the suffering of the Sahrawi people in the territories occupied by Morocco. The details in this report by my colleague Saïd Boughazi.
In a message sent on the eve of the opening on Monday of the 53rd session of the UN Human Rights Council, the members of the group recalled the commitments made by the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights at the 2016 World Humanitarian Summit in Istanbul, notably to systematically denounce and condemn serious violations of international humanitarian law and human rights, and to take concrete measures to ensure that perpetrators are punished. The letter goes on to say that the OHCHR had also undertaken to monitor and report on the impact of armed conflict on human rights defenders with a view to ensuring their protection in the context of its reports on violations of international humanitarian law. However, the NGO regretted that the Office of the High Commissioner continues to remain silent on the situation in occupied Western Sahara. To this end, the Geneva Group called on the High Commissioner to immediately send a fact-finding mission to the territory and make a detailed report to the 54th session of the Council, reiterating its commitment to ensure that the Sahrawi people can exercise their inalienable right to self-determination and independence in accordance with the Charter and the relevant UN resolutions.
Algeria has strongly condemned the storming and ransacking of its ambassador's residence in the Sudanese capital Khartoum and insists on the need to prosecute those responsible for this act, which constitutes a violation of international law and diplomatic practice, reiterating its call on all Sudanese parties to stop killing each other and to promote dialogue to overcome differences and put an end to the crises, according to a press release from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the national community abroad. Algeria insists on the need to protect the headquarters of diplomatic missions and reiterates its appeal to all Sudanese parties to stop killing each other and to favor dialogue to overcome their differences and end the crisis in accordance with the legitimate aspirations of the Sudanese people. As a reminder, Algeria had evacuated its diplomatic staff in Sudan as well as members of the national community following the regrettable crisis in this brotherly country. In Sudan, the army and the rapid support forces at war resumed fighting on Wednesday morning, shortly after the expiry of a 72-hour ceasefire that was generally respected in Khartoum. According to witnesses, residents of Khartoum were woken up by artillery fire and the sound of fighting a few minutes after the end of the 72-hour truce, which began on Saturday. Saïd Boughazi has more.
Omdurman, the northern suburb of the Sudanese capital Khartoum, was the target of shelling and fighting while fighter jets flew over other nearby neighborhoods, said witnesses. The army, commanded by General Abdel Fattah el-Burhan, and the paramilitaries of the Rapid Support Forces, led by General Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo, had pledged to cease all movements and attacks to allow humanitarian aid to the country, one of the poorest in the world. But on Tuesday evening, on the last day of the truce, a huge fire broke out at the intelligence headquarters in the capital. The RSF shelled the building, violating the truce, an army source said. An army drone bombed the building where RSF troops were grouped together, causing a fire and the partial destruction of the intelligence headquarters, a source within the RSF retorted. Previous truces have generally been violated as soon as they come into force. Since 15th April, the war has claimed more than 2,000 lives according to the NGO ACLED and more than 2.5 million displaced persons and refugees according to the UN.
Addressing the UN Security Council on Monday, the UN envoy to Libya, Abdoulaye Bathily, has called for help to the Libyan actors to work together for the recovery of the country, underlining the importance of overcome persistent disagreements. And the number of Palestinians martyrs or Palestinian martyrs in the aftermath of the Zionist military raid on the city of Jenin in the northern occupied West Bank rose to 7 after a 15-year-old girl succumbed to her injuries. And with this, we come to the end of this news bulletin. For today, time now for our weekly program, starting with my colleague Asia Bakar and another program by my colleague Jamal Silmani. As for me, I'll meet again tomorrow for a fresh edition of our news bulletin. Until then, stay tuned to Radio Algeria International, and bye-bye for now.
Dear listeners, and welcome to our program, A Story in an Artwork. Today's story has been sung for long in the weddings of Stif province and in eastern regions of Algeria in general. The story is told in the song وعلاش نلوم, Arabic for Why Would I Blame. It is also referred to as Khatam Sob'i, Arabic for My Ring, or Kusti Mulek Hal, His Black Suit. The song My Ring is about a love story that was crowned with marriage, but then the couple split up. Why? Let's know together. The song tells the story of a woman from eastern Algeria who is married to a man whom she loves madly, and so does he. The couple does not have children, which makes the husband's family push him to marry another woman while his wife is on a visit to her family. When his wife hears about his marriage, she feels betrayed. She then sings the song My Ring, referring to her husband to express her sadness for hearing such a bad news. The woman describes in the song all her husband's wedding's preparation and rituals a week ahead. She starts her sad song with the words, Why would I blame? Company is good only if it lasts. In this passage, she is admitting that her life with him was joyous and he made good company, but it did not last for long. She tells about the wedding preparations starting from Monday. Monday is a day believed to be blessed. That is why the rituals start on it. But since the wedding, the singer starts to consider Monday as a day of disappointment and the beginning of the end of her love story. On Monday, her loved one puts on his barnous. Barnous or bornos is a long cloak worn by men in North Africa in weddings and festivals. It is also a symbol of manhood and bravery. He wears the barnous to go to propose to another woman. The singer says, on Monday he put on his barnous and told me not to cry, for everyone follows his own destiny. But on Thursday, she says, he came to me with his finger dyed with henna and said again, don't cry, I will divorce her and come back to you. Henna is a dye prepared from the plant Lawsonia inermis, also known as the henna tree. Men in Algeria dye their index in their weddings or a day before. So when she sees his finger dyed with henna, she realizes that he is married and there is no way back. She then says that she prefers to stay alone and not to share her husband with someone else or to live without dignity. It is said that he truly wanted her back, but she refused. The song My Ring was conveyed from a woman to another in Algerian weddings. Though the original singer is anonymous, the song succeeded to become a part of Algerian heritage and an immortal expression of a woman's pain after being deceived by her loved one for something that she cannot control. The song was also performed by several artists, and one of the most famous covers of the song was performed by Tunisian singer Shirin Lejbi. That's it, dear listeners, for today's program, A Story in an Artwork. Do join us next week for another story. Goodbye.